The badges are on. Now, I'm sorry I didn't record the whole process because, quite frankly, I was a little scared. These badges have to be bent by hand, and the instructions say to boil them in water, so that's what I did. I put them in a pot, I boiled them, took them out, bent them, and got them to the shape of the tank, and then had to drill the holes in the O and the D on both of them, and then screw them in. So a little bit of a finicky process, and I didn't want to scratch my paint, so I was a little nervous to record it on something that I've never done before. But it's on and it's done, and that's the process. So if you purchase these from the Super Sport Shed, then you can do it the same way. I actually used a pot that would allow me to lay them in there at an angle, and then I filled the water up so that it would cover 3 letters. That made it easier for me to get it out of the boiling water. And then I wore some barbecue mitts to keep myself, from burning my hands while doing the bending. And man, they came out nice. That bend is perfect, and they are screwed on. I got brand new screws from Honda. These 3mm screws on the 79 are still available from Honda, so I ordered those to go along with it. And if that doesn't just make this thing look almost done, huh? I'm still working on my gauges, so you can see I don't have gauges right now, but the gauges are over here. They're all taken apart in a million pieces. So there's the old one, here's the new one. I have all my lenses. Now these are all supposed to have letters on them. Mine are all worn off. I think Super Sport Shed sells replacements for these, and I'm about to place an order with them, so I'm gonna double check. I might just order them, but I'm waiting on new bulbs. So it takes 10 bulbs to replace all the bulbs. I'm gonna replace all the bulbs with LEDs. I have them. They should arrive today, along with a thing of bulb grease. So I'll grease all of them, put them in. I'm gonna grease these plugs too. Clean the plugs best I could with a brush and some cleaner. Then I'm gonna fill them with the dielectric grease, bulb grease, to waterproof them, keep them clean. So this looks like a mess, I know. I'm debating. I think I'm gonna paint these rings. They don't look terrible, but they don't look perfect either. So probably tape this off, paint those rings before I put it back together. The foam insulators for these gauges fall apart and rot out. They go under this ring here. You can see the residue that's left over, but they go right up against this ring and then into this here. Somebody told me to try this. They said you can reproduce those with this stuff. I think I ordered this online. They gave me the measurements, 7/16, so a little less than a 1/2 inch thick and 3/4 inches wide. I'm gonna mess around with this for a little bit and see how we can get it to fit. I just got done spray painting these. It takes a lot of masking. I masked the glass off and then used an X-Acto knife to cut it. And same thing with the voltmeter. So paint's actually still drying. I like this paint. It's like a satin black, looks really good. So once this is fully dry, I'll pull the tape off and finish some assembly. This is what it looks like with the new, that's this insulation rubber stuff. What out here, rubber foam, self-stick weather seal. So that's what it looks like. It squishes down really good, and it kind of stays there for a minute. So you can just squish it down all the way around, and then it'll go into the shroud there. I'm gonna do the speedo now, and then I'll work on the voltmeter. Gauge cluster's all done and hooked up again. Got the lens covers back in. And I think that is one heck of a difference from what I had on it. Looks really, really good. I can't imagine a whole lot of things that are worse than having to do something twice. And unfortunately, that's where I am on these gauges. I made the mistake of assuming that after I put all my new bulbs in, everything would work great and I could just plug it in and life would be happy. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. 2 out of my 10 lights are not working on this. So I have come into the house, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and I have a battery hooked up. And I'm going to test the 2 lights. Actually, I think I'm going to test them all, even though I've already tested the other 8. But it's just fun to do. The left turn signal was not working, and the oil sensor light, oil pressure sensor light was not working. Now, I already tested the oil pressure sensor on the bike, and it works fine. But the light isn't turning on. So it's either a connection in here, or it could be the socket, or it's a problem with something between the sensors and these plugs. So right now we're gonna just test from the plug and see if we can get some lights to light up. Okay, I have 2 ground wires, one from the battery to the primary ground here. This is ground that grounds everything in the cluster. I came out with the ground because the oil pressure is a ground trigger, and so we need to give it ground in order to work, and we also have to provide some main power here to the cluster. So let's take a look. This black wire is your power in. So I'll take the positive and run it here. And then we might have, okay, don't have anything yet. So I've got power coming in. And I've got ground. And I should be able to trigger the neutral light and the oil light. So this is the oil light. It is blue with a red stripe. It should be this one. And it's working. So flip this over so you can see it. When that gets ground, it lights up. And then just for the heck of it, the green one is up down there. The wires came out. So let's see. So here's your oil, and then here's your neutral. So oil, oil, and neutral. All right. So we know those are good. Let me just move this over. Now to test the turn signals, I'll just move my ground. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Move my ground there. And then this one here should be left turn signal. And then your light blue is on the other side. So ground. And then light blue is this top one. All right. So yeah, right turn and oil were the ones that weren't working, and it looks like my gauge cluster is actually fine. So the problem is on the bike. I'm gonna try my best to explain some basic electrical troubleshooting. And the reason this came up was because after I put my gauge cluster on, I found that the oil light and the right turn signal were not coming on. I went ahead and tested the gauges, and the wires inside the gauges and the connectors are all good. I used a battery, got the lights to light up. Everything's good there. So that brought me over to the bike. Now, what you need is a multimeter, and there's two main functions that you're going to use on the multimeter. That's a continuity tester and voltage. On the continuity tester, I like to use this meter, that little beeping sound, because it's just easier. I don't actually have to look at it. I can hear the beep and know that things are connected, right? So continuity means that I have a connection from one side of the wire to the other side of the wire. The right turn signal on a Honda is usually light blue, and that's the case with this one. And so what I've done, I know my turn signals work, and so I've put one side of the wire here on the turn signal, and I put the other side of the wire in various places, right? So I think I found my problem, and it's hard to see, but I stripped this harness back here at this main joint, and then I used a tool to try and pull a wire back. But when I pulled the wire back, it actually broke in half. And then when you look at it, you can see it was very weak there. There was like a dark spot, which means it was getting hot, and that indicates that it had been broken for a long time. So how do we find this? I started testing continuity at the back of the wire, and so the light blue wire here did not have continuity to the turn signal wire at the turn signals, and so then we just start backing up, right? And then I said, well, let me strip this back. I'll test continuity here would be my next point, and that's where this actually fell apart. Now, what I do have though is continuity here. You can hear the beeping sound, and then obviously it's disconnected. And so if what I did was touch these wires together and then retest continuity at the end, which initially I did not have, and now I do. So I think that's the issue with the right turn signal indicator, right? This is the wire that taps into the turn signal as it goes to the back of the bike, and it runs up here into this plug for the gauge cluster. Now, the oil one, I found that issue back here, and so this blue and red wire comes from the oil sensor, and you can see it's cut. So the other half of the wire is down here. I'd really like to know why it's cut, because I didn't cut it. I'm going to probably lengthen it a little bit, reconnect it, and then we need to test the oil sensor. There's a small chance that whoever had this bike had the oil sensor go bad, and instead of replacing it, they just cut the wire. Now, that is just a wild guess on my part. This bike does run, so I'm going to reconnect this wire and put everything back together, and then I'll have to see if it goes out, right? So if the oil light after fixing this wire doesn't go out, then we know it's a sensor. Now, the other thing I can do here is temporarily connect this wire and then test continuity between here and the plug, right? So it's the same color wire here. It's the blue. It's hard to see all the years of muck, but there it is, the blue with the red trace. So I can test continuity. I usually do it from the back. You can do it now. This plug's terrible. It's just old. It still works, but I might replace that while I'm at it. I think I have extras of these. So I'm going to tidy up this electrical. You know, it's 47 years old, and it's great that things work as well as they do. Actually, you can see that the plugs and things are pretty ugly, but that stuff isn't too hard to replace. You can repin them, put new plugs on, and then clean everything and grease it up with your dielectric grease when you put it back together, and that makes it last hopefully another 47 years. So I'm going to get to it, and hopefully this will fix it. After getting the wiring sorted out and the gauges mounted, we now have an oil light, a right turn signal, left turn signal, high beams, and of course our neutral indicator works great. So all our lights work, thankfully, and I think we should start it up. There we go. There it goes. It's pretty cold out here today. This cover is leaking. I have to replace the gasket on that. So I got some ordered, they'll be in. It's got a little clutch rattle. You can hear it gets better when you pull the clutch in. It's, you know, 47 years old. And it has not been rebuilt. Warming up good. That's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.